IVM.
Have you ever wondered why women don't do more crime? Well, we're here to tell you. There's misconduct all the time. Women are thieves and murderers.
That's gross misconduct.
Con artists, money launderers.
Criminal misconduct.
Financial fraud that's hard to track.
Takes some planning, but still misconduct.
Even breaching a contract.
Well, that's more civil though.
It's misconduct. Misconduct. We tell you all about women that suck. Things that make you say, what the? It's misconduct.
Hello, and welcome to Misconduct. We are a podcast about Indian women who also happen to be criminals. My name is Ragvi.
And I am Nisha. And on today's episode, we talk about Sashikala Ramesh Patankar, a former milkmaid who grew up to be Mumbai's most feared and respected drug don. Sashikala, who was called Baby by her very large family, was the reason for the meteoric rise of the distribution and use of a synthetic recreational drug called Mephedrone, or Mcat as it was more popularly known.
And in this episode, we'll talk about her life, her work, and how she got caught. And we want to say upfront, Nisha mentioned Mephedrone.
Yeah.
This episode is going to involve a lot of drug talk, including things like addictions, distribution, people getting arrested for it. And also generally on this podcast, I mean, you would know this by now, it's a true crime podcast. We cover topics like assault and murder, various other crimes that are definitely not appropriate for children. So listeners' discretion is advised.
Awesome. So there's one thing that I really appreciate about this particular episode.
Mm-hmm.
And that is that it was just so easy to research because you just go to any publications online archive and type in Meow Meow.
Yeah, that's
And
because
that's it.
That's right. We didn't mention this earlier, but Mephedrone's like street name is Meow Meow for loads of reasons. Apparently, your eyes turn into little slits when you take it. So that's where Meow Meow comes from.
That is crazy. So Methadone addiction was actually a huge problem amongst Indian youth in the 80s and 90s, primarily in Maharashtra due to babies' alleged peddling activities, I have to say. But it is still a problem today as well, because as recently as January of this year, about 1 crore worth of drugs, which is about 1 kg of Mephedrone, was caught by the police so recently. So it's a hot commodity for dealers because according to the article, it mentions that the profit margins are about 300 to 900% per gram, which is insane.
That is nuts.
Right.
If I got 300% on any investment.
900, man. 300 is minimum. Up to 900.
I don't want to oversell it.
Sure.
Even with like the lowest profit margin.
It's ridiculous.
It's pretty insane. What crypto? Crypto.
Yeah. So I guess that's why it's so it's popular it's become so popular and it still continues to be so popular.
That's right. But before we get into the drugs, let's get into Sashikala Ramesh Patankar. So Sashikala was born as the only girl in her family. She was the youngest of 6 siblings. We don't have to keep saying Sashikala because she was named something really adorable at a very young age. She was nicknamed Baby, which by the way, is just how all news channels refer to her. They call her Baby Patankar, okay?
It's
kind of offsetting because in your head you're imagining this like cute, adorable child peddling like Mephedrone on the streets of Bombay. But Baby Patankar, she settled in a slum area in Mumbai called Siddharth Nagar after she married Ramesh Patankar. So here she sold milk bottles for a living. This was still a slum area in this area called Worli in Mumbai. And her entire family lived in the slums. Her brothers also lived with her. They worked as drivers part-time. And of course, they were not from an affluent family, but they all sort of got by, with their respective trades. Some police sources do say that the beginning, like a humble beginnings in crime were in the milk adulteration business. But we don't have much to substantiate this. And also nobody cared after a point because the other stuff was really interesting.
Yeah. So in 1985, she came into contact with brown sugar dealer. I don't mean those packets that you steal from the hotel, because initially that's what I thought while I was reading it. But no, brown sugar is an adulterated form of heroin, and it's only about 20% in all. It's one of those drugs that you just never try, not even once.
Nope.
Yeah. So according to baby's nephew, that's Manish Mazgaonkar, after she met this dealer, she realized that, hey, I can earn a lot of money by selling drugs. So in 1985, baby became a brown sugar and hashish dealer. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I don't care. Hashish or hashish or whatever it is a resin extract of the marijuana plant. It's herbal, I guess, but it's still listed as a narcotic under Indian law. So the 80s and 90s saw baby's business booming. She started out as a peddler at first, but soon she built up a team. It's like some weird pyramid scheme. Her group of like young men and women sold the drugs on the street. She had a management position. Obviously, she had to be top of the pyramid. And she would also spend her time like sorting through all of the contraband. This was a time when many women drug dealers came to the forefront. While baby had Worli, as we had mentioned, that's where she was. Kamli has Ballard Estate, and there was Papa Mani Iyengar. She had Mumbai's eastern suburbs.
That's nuts.
So I can't believe they just divided up the entire city and they were just ruling it with drugs.
Yeah, but you know what? This is a very weird, unusual, yet very wholesome form of sisterhood. I really appreciate this. It's like, it's like when you watch like, I don't think you like watch DC animated shows that much, but I love them. And whenever I watch like Poison Ivy and Catwoman and Harley Quinn, sort of like that's the vibe I get out of this.
That's true.
I'm not saying it's a good thing.
They're still evil people, sure.
They're terrible people.
Yeah.
But it's kind of cute, right?
No. I mean, I also watch DC comics. DC whatever cartoons, but no, this is not cute.
Fine.
But yeah, so she started expanding her business because like brown sugar and hashish, I guess, was not enough, because in the late 90s is when she switched over to Mephedrone or Meow Meow, which is where our story really starts.
Yay.
So yeah, and on that high point, I think we should take a break and just word of advice to all of our listeners: don't do drugs, do Parle Ji.
If you love cricket, listen up. The Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast is here for you. Hosted by DJ, Varun, and me, Ashwin, we bring a fun, fresh fan's point of view to talking all things cricket. Sometimes it's just the three of us, sometimes we have guests, including current and former international cricketers. For new episodes every week, check out the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast on the IVM app, website, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back from the break. I think it's time for you guys to really hold on to your seats, because we are really going to go full speed now. Like, it's going to be a massive data dump for the next 40 minutes. So just please pay attention. It's going to be a lot of stuff that's like that we're going to run you through how like the whole drug scene worked in Mumbai, why and how a lot of these drugs were controlled substances, what the laws say about it, and just in general what Baby was up to, because she was a busy woman. So yeah, but first, before we get into anything else, I thought it'd be a good idea to sort of cover how India regulates drugs manufacturing and consumption in the country.
Yeah.
So of course, there is a regulation for it. It's the Narcotics, Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act of 1985. Now, the Narcotics Act, it has a bunch of many different kinds of rules, but it's primarily a central government act. It's a regulation that governs everything from legality and the trade of various controlled substances. Also, this act, the Narcotics Act, does not apply to pharmacological drugs. Those are covered in the Drugs and Cosmetics Act. So that's got nothing to do with this. This is just stuff that could really mess you up in like a very fundamental way. So central government, they have like two major powers under the act. One is the power to add or omit a particular substance from the list of banned or controlled substances. And the other thing is to sort of take measures to prevent or combat the abuse or the trafficking of narcotic drugs, or otherwise provide some sort of permission to use them medically or scientifically. So this is broadly the powers that the central government has. Now, what does the actual regulations say? Of course, it criminalizes the manufacturing and possession of certain controlled substances in certain quantities. It's not necessarily, like if you have a gram of something, it doesn't necessarily mean you will get punished for it. It also criminalizes the distribution, obviously, because, you want to control how the drugs get into the market. And it also allows for seizing of any illegally acquired property, which basically means any property you have acquired because of money you've made by doing something the act doesn't let you do. So let's say you become a drug dealer and you make a ton of money selling cocaine, and then you buy a house with it. Your house can be seized because you've bought all that stuff using, doing something that's not permitted under the act.
Got it.
And of course, the last thing, punishment for this can range between 1 year to 20 years, depending on the kind of offense. It could be longer as well if you have multiple offenses piled up. And of course, no bar on the fines. Apart from your property being seized, they can be like, give me all your money, I'm going to strip you bare. So that's the kind of powers that the government has when it comes to these drugs. So what we're going to talk about next is heavy stuff, keeping this in mind.
Yeah, so because now we're really going to get into like Mephedrone and things like that. So everybody, please remember how much trouble you can get into. And while you listen to us talk about drugs. But yeah, okay. So we have some information about Mephedrone and how it works and things. And this is like purely research. But if you have first-hand information, please tell us on Instagram and we promise not to snitch on you. Wink.
You say wink?
No, wink.
Just let's move on.
but do reach out to us at Just Nishful Thinking and at Ragi Dose. There are full stops everywhere. It's going to be there in the description anyway. But yeah, please give us first-hand information. But anyway, so Mephedrone is a synthetic stimulant drug. Its effects are described to be really similar to cocaine, amphetamines, and MDMA. It's also known as Mcat, white magic, bubbles, drone, or meow meow. So bubbles, man, what nonsense. Honestly, if someone said, hey, do you want to do bubbles? I would be looking for those guns that they sell on the road where you just...
Yeah.
And I would be very disappointed if I just see like white powder everywhere.
I'd expect a home shipment of like bubble bath.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Anyway.
It's true.
So, but Mephedrone comes in the form of tablets or a powder, which you can, I guess, swallow or snort or inject. So there's a variety of ways to do that. It's an entirely recreational drug and it has no medicinal use. So the effects of Mcat on frequent users include euphoria, increased processing speed, talkativeness, increased energy, increased confidence, and apparently appreciation for music.
Actually, you know what? So Mephedrone is listed as a stimulant from what we had read up on it. And I remember this friend of mine who lives in Berlin, who does some recreational drug taking there in the Europe festivals. So he told me once that EDM and house music is what he essentially considers as headache music. He called it that. And unless he takes a stimulant, he can't really enjoy it. So apparently, if he does, the music is just somehow way more enjoyable. So this, what you said right now, the appreciation for music thing actually really just reminded me of that.
Right. Well, good for him because, I mean, whatever floats his boat. However, the other effects of Mephedrone is jaw clenching, decreased appetite, agitation, paranoia, heart palpitations, and extreme headaches, which honestly just sounds like anxiety with more steps.
Yeah, sounds like me on a Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly. So, but heavy use can also lead to various cardiac, neurological, and psychiatric effects, which makes sense because your heart is beating at 200 kilometers per hour. So it can and if you do it often, it can easily kill you. So yeah, just please don't do drugs.
Yeah, that's a great message to take away. That's all.
Don't do drugs, you will die. So Mcat kind of resembles cocaine, but it is much, much cheaper because it sells for as little as 150 rupees per gram, which is ridiculous. It's cheaper than a movie ticket. It's very easily available because of the low price. However, this price point comes with a huge risk, and that is adulteration. So, I mean, you're putting crap in your system and you're putting extra crap in it. So it's not only is it like Mcat is more easily available than other addictive drugs like cocaine, but until Feb 2015, it wasn't even covered under the Narcotics Act.
Right.
So this is really bad because Mumbai police estimates that from 2015, 8 out of every 10 drug addicts being treated at a rehab center in the city were users of Mephedrone. So, and police has pegged this number of its users to about 1.4 lakh people, which is crazy. It's very sad. But yeah, the problem really got out of hand for Maharashtra, and the drug still hasn't been notified under the Narcotics Act as a punishable one. So Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis wrote to the central government regarding this.
That's right. And like we mentioned earlier, any sort of commercial quantity of the drug that you hold can come with imprisonment. So that's really sort of where this picked up. And we'll sort of get into what really happened after this, because as in around this essentially, because this notification calling Mephedrone as a controlled substance under the Narcotics Act is not a random event that just happened. It's pretty much entirely attributable to Baby.
Allegedly.
Oh, yes. Yes, allegedly. You are correct. That is, yes, it is still alleged in that. We'll tell you why.
Yeah.
But
okay, let's get to Baby.
Let's get to Baby. So Baby was always destined for big things. She was not the kind of person to be like, hey, I'm very happy with my teeny tiny hash business. I would like to explore what is out there. And as we all do with our respective careers, Baby, of course, slowly built up a resume with small dealings. So there is a DNA article that we had read from 2015, which really sort of went into her initial days. So it turns out in the year 2000 is when she started dealing with drugs outside the state, beyond just like little pockets of drugs being sold within just like Bombay and Maharashtra. This is how she started off with Rajasthan. So one of the police officers who provided a quote for the article had said that Baby used to conceal the drugs like on her stomach. She used to cover it up with some clothing, and then she would smuggle it into the city on a train. So we know Baby she didn't consider herself too big to not actually be the mule herself. And from 2000 to 2002, there were cases that the Mumbai police had registered against her regarding 3 cases of narcotics possession. But she got out on all 3 of them because they never actually found narcotics on her. It's just sort of like information that they got from other places, and that's really why they arrested her and stuff. So, of course, she became a bigger deal. And as she became a big deal in Bombay specifically, the underworld sort of realized, hey, what the hell, man? This is also like our territory.
This woman, how dare?
How dare she? And her peddlers particularly, would often get beaten up by, folks from the underworld for daring to invade, other more established dealers' territories. So she sort of realized by this point, this was like in the early 2000s, 2003-04, she sort of realized that she cannot sustain a life of drug dealing without protection. This is the entire premise of the Godfather movie. I realized that as I said it, but that's essentially where she was coming from, right? So this is when she decided that in order to really maintain that position where she has some degree of safety, she needs to become a police informant. And that was a pretty sharp move on her point.
It is.
Yeah. So it's really smart. And I want to quote something a police officer had said in one of the Indian Express articles. Okay, this is exactly what she said. I want to quote it out for you. She used to get drugs from dealers for selling them in Mumbai. She would keep a certain amount of the pure drugs with herself and mix the rest with impure substances, known as taka in narcotics jargon. Later, she would return the mixed contraband to the original dealer, saying she could not sell them as they were of inferior quality. As the dealers leave, she would tip off the police, leading to their arrest.
Wow. What a smart... She's so conniving, right?
Yeah, she's a narc, first of all. She just tattletale is what that is. I would not be cool with that sort of behavior.
I totally appreciate the snitchy behavior.
Yeah, you have the vibe of a class monitor.
100%. Yeah, for sure.
For sure. You would write everybody's name on the class board.
Yes.
And then if they said something, if they talk back at you, you would put like into 2.
1, yeah.
Just to be like, you spoke twice. I'll tell ma'am.
Yes, that was me. Correct.
That is exactly you. But yes, you're right in that this was very conniving. This is really, really sharp because she basically manufactured like the presence of dealers to just supply them to the police, to make her obviously more credible in the police's eyes. She became very adept also at figuring out how to track police officers, which is why she personally never got caught for the stuff that she was doing. So the slums that she lived in, it was like a very close-knit family to her. So even if one officer stepped in that area, she would know about it. Almost immediately. So how it worked is Baby's house was on top of a little hill in the slums. And by the time the officers like huffed and puffed and like got up there, she would just get rid of the drugs or she would just run away. And there's an Indian Express article that specifically says by the time the officers would reach her house, they would either find it shut or, this is really hilarious. They would be confronted by one of her daughter-in-laws.
Huh.
And if the police said they would take her away, she would just complain of molestation.
Yeah, apparently a lot of her like women peddlers used to do that as well. That was a great tactic that worked for her.
That's sharp. I mean, use your terrain to your advantage. I feel it. There's also a time when these guys, the police got a little smart and they were like, okay, we'll come with female cops. But it didn't matter because she had such a swift moving chain of information within the slums that she always knew when somebody was, entering the slums even if it was in plain clothes, because everybody in that slum knew everybody else. So just remember this, because till date, Baby has never been caught red-handed with actual drugs on her person or in her home, like ever.
Which is why we keep saying alleged.
That's true.
But, I also read in one of the Open magazine articles about this place where the journalist was saying that it's so difficult for women and for female cops to even go through these slums because they get like catcalled and even they get molested sometimes. So it's just, it's so like men police officers can't go because she's just like, aha, I've run away. Female police officers are too scared to go. And so she had amazing protection.
What a baller, man.
Yeah.
I mean, what I mean is, oh no, that's terrible. She's awful.
So let's just acknowledge the fact that she is highly intelligent. She just chose the very wrong path in life.
Fair. Or she picked one that she knew would make her a lot of money.
Yeah.
Allegedly. We use allegedly so much that you might as well just like put a poster on my face that says allegedly. That's it.
But so Baby in 1996, she met Constable Dharmaraj Khaloke. Khaloke was posted to the Worli police station. He first met Baby when he went to raid her house.
That's so adorable.
Yeah, it's a very cute, like it's a meet cute.
It is. It sounds like a little, like meeting someone at a raid. I mean, it sounds like a Mani Ratnam movie.
What?
Yeah, you know how in Mani Ratnam movies, the couple always meets at a wedding. I have never seen them meet outside of that. It's always a wedding, except instead of a wedding, it's a raid now. It has that vibe. It really has that vibe.
It does.
If they all die in a shootout at the end, solid Mani Ratnam.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Solid.
But, through all of these raids, the cops found no evidence of drugs as usual. But Khaloke made a friend, and that friend was Baby. And Khaloke also helped her gain access to other cops around the city's police stations. She would apparently use the information that he gave her to either seduce or blackmail other cops. She eventually got herself like an active intelligence wing without having to do much work at all. And eventually Khaloke became like her trusted advisor and ... her lover.
Gasp!
Escándalo.
Escándalo! I love that word. Nothing describes the gaspiness.
Exactly.
Escándalo. Yes, I am scandalized. Her lover? Excuse me.
So he would also go on to help her warehouse all of these drugs and maybe help her with distributing and even apparently accounting. Because I don't know, were they paying tax for this?
I mean, if they were, that would explain why it's not that easy. I mean, think about it. If I wanted to be an honest-ish drug dealer, I would just pay taxes on it.
What would you declare it as?
Miscellaneous income.
Miscellaneous, yes. Income from other sources. Khaloke was also her mule in a way. She often used his official vehicle to move drugs, and Khaloke would carry them for her, and he would never get caught because who's going to check a police officer's belonging?
Aha, loophole.
Yeah. So Khaloke becomes very important to us later on. So wait it out, guys.
That's right. Before that, we want to sort of cover Baby's just her empire, because by this point, by the late 2000s, her empire, and I have to call it an empire because it's just so much. Remember, she's only been arrested on one occasion. We mentioned this before.
Yeah.
But she's been arrested for multiple occasions, but this is the only time they arrested her for possession of something. This was by the anti-narcotics cell in 2001 for the possession of 10 grams of brown sugar. So Baby was arrested in March 2001 and she was out of jail by November 2001.
Wow.
Yep, a special court that was set up under the Narcotics Act. They gave her a very quick acquittal. They were just like, oh, aha, no, see you, goodbye. That's it. And the sources that we read say that the police were really surprised by this because they really thought they had her this time. And they'd also never really come across an acquittal that was so swift under a narcotics case. Because, and this is true, I mean, I have read this before as well, not specific to this case. Most trials under the Narcotics Act take at least a year to start proceedings in the first place. So the fact that she was arrested and then she was out just like that, either they didn't really find anything on her and they weren't able to prove that much in court, or, she just bribed everybody, or alternatively, she just knew enough about everyone that they were too scared to testify against her. It has to be one of these three, so congratulations. Good job.
Actually, that last theory kind of reminds me of Moriarty.
Oh, yeah.
He knows he has just enough leverage.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. He was, remember, what else was Moriarty in?
Like Sherlock Holmes.
Fleabag. Sorry. No, I was wondering. I'm unusually attracted to the guy who plays Moriarty.
He's
okay,
very good looking.
He's so good looking, and he comes in Fleabag and he plays a priest. Whatever, man. He's just really attractive.
He is.
It is. We failed the Bechdel test, by the way.
Oh no.
Yes. Well, not one episode. Can we just not talk about a guy? First, it was Sairaj Mohan.
Oh yeah.
Then it was Sanjay Gandhi.
You mean Sanju?
Sanju. It won't end, man. We just worst feminists alive.
It's fine.
Yeah, but baby, of course, goes on to she gets arrested a bunch of times, but again, nothing comes out of any of this. Because the fact is, if you can't actually find drugs on someone's property or person, it's kind of hard to charge them for peddling said drugs. Right. And so let's sort of move into what she had on her. Like by the late 90s and 2000s, Baby was the biggest dealer of Mephedrone in Maharashtra. Like she was the name for it. And here's a list of assets we got about her that she owned from all that drug money. I mean, we say drug money, but allegedly. She says something else. But yes, what did she have in terms of property? She had 10 tenements in Worli. And we should remember that property in Mumbai runs into crores, even if it's just a slum area.
Wow.
It's ridiculous how expensive property. So 10 tenements is a metric fudge ton of property. She had a bungalow in Lonavala. She had a house in Pune. She had multiple rooms in slums in Borivali, Ghorpade, and Siddharth Nagar. The Siddharth Nagar homes themselves were worth 2 crores. Wow. Just that. Okay. And she also apparently had a row of houses in North Mumbai, which were valued at about 50 lakhs. She also had 22 bank accounts, 3 of which had 40 lakhs each.
Wow, man. It was just she also had like a fleet of cars, by the way, and SUVs and scooters and motorcycles, because all of this was bought under the guise of running a travel agency. So that was her it's not drug money, it's travel agency money. So obviously, I mean, okay, I say obviously, but we speculate that these cars and SUVs were used to ferry drugs across Maharashtra, Goa, and Gujarat. The business was named Saurav Tours and Travels.
We looked this up. We looked this up to see if there's a GST registration.
Yeah. Because if you're earning and if you're saying it's coming from this, you have to pay GST.
We couldn't find it. I mean, it's fair. I'm assuming she shut down the business by now.
Maybe.
But man, actually, you know what? At the time, it would have been service tax.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
We did not think this through.
But okay, we'll go look up her other IDs. But yeah, anyway, so she had the audacity to say that she made all of this money from her tours business, but the police were having none of it. A crime branch officer was once quoted as saying, "It is clear that the money found in her accounts was earned from drugs, as making such profits from a business of renting out 4-wheelers is not possible."
What? You don't say.
I like how this one crime branch officer is like, please.
Yeah, he's like, guys. Guys.
Hello, madam. Please,
guys.
Madam.
Come on, guys. We're not that stupid.
Yeah. Besides all of the assets, she also had a keen eye for investment. She had fixed deposits worth 1.45 crores. Other than real estate, she also invested in gold. So this woman is making her money work for her. So again, she's just a really intelligent woman who just chose a life of crime instead.
I really like the idea of investing in gold. It's what my mom tells me all the time.
Yeah.
I have to constantly tell her gold does not look good on my skin tone because my undertone is witchy green. It's not, my undertones aren't even like yellow or like winter. It's just witch. So I don't look good in gold. But I totally get why she would do that.
Yeah.
Because real estate, of course, I mean, it just makes sense to invest in real estate. Gold particularly because you can just hide it away. And it's always available for a rainy day, you know?
Correct.
That was really smart. So better, if you really need investment advice, please go to this alleged drug dealer. Of course, she was also big enough that the police were really scared of her. There is this one official account that we had read of an instance when baby's niece had gone missing. So apparently the police received a call from a local politician to ensure that the girl was traced ASAP. And the Mumbai police deployed as many people as they could, and she was found within a fortnight. Wow. So to find a missing person in Bombay.
Oh, true.
Yeah, it's just how, and also, whoa, that's, I mean, how they did it is insane, but they did it because, it was her.
Yeah, that's the kind of power she had.
That is exactly the kind of power she had. And the thing is, she had a lot of people on her side. It's not just it's not just the police, of course. It's also the fact that her entire family was helping her in this. So it's not like anybody would come. There was nobody who would turn against her that way within her family either. And she was very, very sure about that. It's also likely, we're speculating, because it's really, really doesn't make sense that this would happen so openly without some of the police also being in her pocket. We don't know how this could have happened. I mean, some of these cops could have been doing drugs too, and she knew about it. Or maybe they had other vices. I don't know. And to be very fair, she seems like the kind of person who would pick something that she knows about you and then use it to, blackmail you.
Yeah.
And blackmail is a great motivator. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
But yeah, I'm assuming she needed to keep like a clear head through all of this. And I'm guessing she probably didn't indulge in her own drugs. Like, she saw Scarface and she was like, yes, this makes sense. Except for right in the end when he knows he's about to die and he dumps his face in all of the drugs.
Yes. And those of us that are not 70 years old, a corresponding decent reference would be Breaking Bad, where Jesse is told multiple times to not take his own drugs. So thanks, Nisha. We do know now that you were born in the 60s.
Hey.
But yes, at this point, I think it's time for a little break. We've done a lot of data dump and exposition for you guys, and you have taken it like good kids. You've taken it. So thank you for that.
We should take a break.
Yes. And we'll also see what happened with the case.
Hey, everybody, let me tell you a little bit about what happened on the IVM Podcast Network this week. On Cyrus Says, Cyrus was joined by Irfan Pabani, who is an old friend of his. They talk about the rich flavors of Indian food and Parsi food specifically. He was also joined by author and historian William Dalrymple. They discuss literature, history, and the culture of the Indian subcontinent. And let me give you a few quick things to check out. Chuck, aka Deepak Gopal Krishnan of Simplified and the Origin of Things fame, has Rohan Joshi, formerly of AIB, on his show. Also on this round is on me. Gautam Purohit of Thakur's Bhojnalaya was on. On the note, Maruk and I talks about the cabinet reshuffle. And do check out Global Victoria Tech Talks. We talk about the booming gaming and edutech industries in Australia. Do follow us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram to keep up what's going on the network. And I'd like to finally thank our sponsors on the network this week, Cred, Ciet, and Global Victoria. Thank you so much for making this possible.
Welcome back from the break, everyone. And let's get right to it. There is a lot to cover and we don't have that much time. So let's talk about her arrest. So in 2014, the Mumbai police had gotten a tip from an anonymous source. And they landed up at the Constable Dharmaraj Kaloke's house, the guy we mentioned earlier.
Ooh, who could it be? Who is the anonymous source? I wonder.
I don't know either. Let's find out. So there the police found what they believed to be 114 kgs of Mephedrone.
Holy crap, that's a lot.
It was worth about 22 crore rupees. Oof. And So just remember, the drugs were found at her lover's house. They were not found in her house. But an FIR was still filed against her in March 2015 after this raid. So at this point, baby was like, nope, I'm out of here. And she went missing. So no one could find her for a really long time. And the police started a manhunt. They were unsuccessful. They, for lack of a better phrase, got their ass handed to them. And they assumed that, it's mostly presumed that she was not in the city, which is why they weren't able to find her. To get her out of hiding, though, the police used their informant channel to sort of get their demands out to her. So these were their demands. Either surrender or your property will be attached. Also surrender or we will shoot you at sight when we find. So as far as threats go, these were pretty heavy.
There, yeah.
Good job, Mumbai police. I'm very proud of how you phrased that. But baby, once she heard of this, she was like, nah, I am going to stay hidden for a while.
Right. So now, who tipped off the police about the drugs in Kaloke's house? Just about every police source says, it was baby. Dun, dun, dun.
Gasp!
So, some police sources speculate that Kaloke was probably skimming some drugs and selling it himself, and baby found out. Others say that he was not happy with the way that she was running the business and her money management, and baby was like, boy, no one asked you for your opinion.
Excuse me.
He was also apparently physically abusive towards her, and she obviously didn't like it, and she decided to retaliate. So there are strong suspicions among the police and the media that she framed Kaloke and tipped off the police herself.
And I wouldn't put it past her. She's really smart. And if I'm assuming if she at some point found out that Kaloke was doing whatever it is that pissed her off, I'm actually vaguely proud. In a very confusing way.
I guess, I'm quite impressed with the fact that she's like, nothing is going to stand in my way. And if you piss me off even a little bit, I'm going to ruin your life.
Of course, yes. Oh,
yeah.
Man, I'm kind of into it.
So a senior police officer, a source of the Indian Express, was quoted as saying, while sharing the information about the contraband, she was very specific, even detailing the exact place where the drug was hidden in the bungalow next to Kaloke's ancestral house. She wanted the police to immediately arrest him, which likely meant that she just really wanted him out, and she was like, I'm going to get this guy.
In my head, I'm imagining like baby on the phone. She's using like a voice modulator, and she's just like, sir, no, sir, you go straight down that road. Straight. You want to be the police, I can be baby. Okay.
Huh. So, madam, hello.
On the phone, and she's just like, no, sir, you go straight down that road and you can see the garbage dump. You can see the garbage dump on the left. Take a left there. Sir, I said, sir, you have to go. Sir, go back and take a U-turn, sir. Oh. Take a left at that. Take a left at that.
Okay, madam. Okay, got it.
Get there. Last house on the right-hand side, sir.
Pink
go
house,
there.
Madam.
Pink house, correct. Yes, sir. That correct only. You go inside. Once you get in there, you go to the third bedroom. Right after the kitchen, there's one bedroom, right?
Puja
no. Did I say puja room, sir? Did I say puja room?
Sorry, madam. Sorry.
You go straight into there. And then dude, that's the level of, that is the level.
She is like getting specific as hell. She's like, you go there in that Godrej cupboard in the bottom. It'll like, she really wanted that guy to get caught.
I'm assuming they were on call like with your Swiggy driver the whole time. God. Just like, find those drugs or I will come and kill you.
But anyway, Kaloke told the police that the drugs belonged to a customs officer named Suryavanshi, and everyone collectively agreed that we are not going to believe you. So also the day after the raid, another 12 kg of Mephedrone was found in Kaloke's cupboard at the police station, and he was dismissed from duty.
What is this amateur hour? Who keeps drugs in their work locker, man?
Hey, he and Sainat Malika would get along really well. All amateurs.
They would. Aww.
But eventually, the Mumbai police found her because they deployed a 100-member team to track her down. And 45 days after the raid, they finally found her on 23rd April 2015, a little after midnight. She was 52 years old when she was arrested. She was found traveling in a private luxury bus from Navi Mumbai to Mumbai. The police was tipped off about this. It appears she was traveling everywhere from like Surat to Delhi to Agra in that bus just to avoid being arrested. Baby was found with her cell phone, but no SIM card. The police speculate that she likely threw out her SIM card from the bus when she realized that she was being tracked, which Come on.
Hey.
Like, Cyanide Malika could have done this. She just had
really
to throw
could
off
have.
her... Learn from baby. Okay.
Learn from baby. And she should have. Oh, actually, she couldn't have. This happened after Sana Malika got arrested.
Oh.
Maybe baby learned from Malika.
Maybe. She was like, this is a fool. I am not going to do this. But yes, so she was produced to the court the day after the arrest.
Aha. Now let's talk about the case.
Hmm.
This is a really high profile case, you guys. This was the kind of case where a lot was like resting on the Mumbai police's shoulders because the sitting police commissioner of Mumbai, Rakesh Maria, he was so invested in this case that he ordered that it be transferred from the Marine Drive police to the Mumbai crime branch. The idea behind that is they're deploying resources that are much more like particularly advanced, especially in forensics and stuff, to be able to investigate this in a way that they could make the case as airtight as possible, because the police has been looking for her for years. They're just waiting for this opportunity to get her like caught, right? There were also 4 other police officers that were investigated for their involvement, including Kaloke, in this whole situation. Now, things didn't go particularly smoothly with this case, because while the case was being investigated, a giant bomb was dropped by the Kalina Forensic Science Laboratory and the Hyderabad Forensic Science Laboratory. So these were the labs that were being used to test the samples of the drugs that were found with Kaloke. And the labs found that the samples that were supposed to originally be Mephedrone were in fact actually Ajinomoto. It was MSG. 114 kilograms of MSG, which seems normal to me. The normal thing, my storeroom currently has only like 400 kgs. That's all.
What was she planning to do? Start a huge like Chinese street food in Bombay?
And I'm just speculating here, maybe it wasn't Ajinomoto and the samples were tampered with.
Possible. You don't know the kind of things that she could have done.
No, I think it's Ajinomoto.
Maybe that's like the best way to mess with everyone, right? Tell someone there is drugs, hide away, pretend like you're getting caught or whatever, and then just be like, hey, it's Ajinomoto, you fools.
You know what? Actually, I would buy that she would do something like this, because let's think of a situation. Okay, we know how smart she is. We know how she's been able to evade capture for like decades now, right? She's so sharp and so quick with all of this. Let's imagine a scenario where you are baby, and put yourself in her shoes. You find out that your trusted ally is like betrayed you in some way or the other. You want to get him like caught, but also you're thinking, hey, the police have been searching for me for years. Is there some way I can just put a pin in this and end this now?
Yeah.
And I can imagine baby sitting in a corner.
Oh God.
Baby sitting in a corner and thinking, hey, I am gonna figure out
kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Yes. Ore kallila rendu manga.
Yes, exactly. That one.
Just kill it. And that's exactly, I would not put it past her to literally go down to some warehouse and collect 114 kgs of Ajinomoto, give it to Kaloke and say, I promise this is Mephedrone, go put it in your cupboard. He puts it in his cupboard and she calls the police. Now the police think that's drugs. Aha, okay, one plot line is there. And the police then later find out, nope, it's not drugs. And they screwed up.
Yep, that would be like highly embarrassing if you find 115 kgs of Ajinomoto that you think is drugs.
Disgusting.
But anyway, so after this came out, baby got out on bail and she suddenly got super empowered to speak up. And there was one interview that she had done with CNN IBN. And I urge everyone to go and see this, because you really, like, words cannot describe this woman, how amazing it is to see her. But so this interview that she did in October 2016, after she was out on bail and said that she was being framed for all this, she said no drugs were actually found on her. The drug bust that was done on her ended up being Ajinomoto. The third thing that she said was that she's being punished for having an affair with the police officer who was caught with drugs. Specifically, she says it in Hindi and I can't do justice. She says, if I've been dealing drugs for 30 years, why hasn't anyone caught me yet?
Aha.
I mean, the audacity on this lady. Say she is a drug dealer. She's standing there with this journalist saying, oh, why you didn't catch me? What a challenge, right? In another interview with the Indian Express, and I think she had some connection with the Indian Express because she gave amazing quotes to this publication. In July 2018, she said she was concerned about the drug problems in Mumbai.
Shut up.
Can you believe that? This woman, she said, drugs are being openly sold outside Worli Dairy, but the police aren't doing anything. Tum mein dum hai to kuch karo.
Whoa, heavy, bro, heavy.
Right? She, just a quick reminder, she is probably the reason that 8 out of 10 drug users in Mumbai today are on Mcat.
Allegedly. Not the Mcat addiction.
Yeah.
Her supplying the drugs thing.
Yeah. And she has the audacity to say, "Tum mein dum hai to kuch karo." Wow.
I want to ride through life with the kind of confidence that Baby has.
Seriously.
Yeah. I feel like I can achieve anything. It's doable. But yes, back to the cases. There were technically 2 cases. The first one we know about now, which is the 114 kgs of Mephedrone or Ajinomoto. Surprise, surprise, she got acquitted.
Yeah.
Because the forensics came back saying this is not Mephedrone. The proceedings took forever because the judges were transferred multiple times. There was a lot of political will behind this as well. They tried really, really hard to get her convicted. But of course, like Nisha said earlier, there were the negative reports of the presence of any sort of substances in the cupboard, right? It was found to be Ajinomoto. The second thing was that the only real witnesses, so to speak, that she had was Kaloke, who was a co-accused in the case. So an accused cannot be convicted by the statement of another accused, especially for the same crime. So that's obviously did not work out. The other thing was, and this is a very technical matter, the Mephedrone specifically, like you said earlier, was notified as a psychotropic substance in February 2015. But this seizure was conducted in August 2014.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So basically the regulation would not apply retrospectively because that's just how that should work, right? And the court was like, dude, this law didn't exist at the time. What am I supposed to convict her for? And that's fair. That also gives me, it makes me think or wonder really whether these guys seized the drugs, as in the police, presumed it was Mephedrone because they obviously got the Kaloke Baby connection. And then effectively there was like severe political push to have the substance listed under the Narcotics Act, post which they were like, arrest, come, let's arrest her. That's basically what I'm presuming happened because like timeline wise, that just makes the most sense.
Right.
But the fact remains there was no evidence against her in this specific case. All there were eventually by the end of it, there were 4 failed forensics tests.
Wow.
Yeah. So the special narcotics court agreed that there was not enough evidence to convict her. The case went to the Bombay High Court as well. They ordered for the samples to be retested. Again, nothing. All negative. So she was acquitted. And this case caused a lot of embarrassment to the Mumbai police. It was a lot of money wasted, on this. It was extremely sensationalized. Everybody was just like, we found her, the one person responsible for this epidemic, drugs epidemic across Maharashtra, everything. So this became a really, really big deal.
Yeah. And the media also was not very kind.
They weren't, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fair that they weren't because that really is how she was portrayed in the media as well.
Yeah.
But this really it really lit a fire on why this, and eventually led to the second case being filed. This case was filed in July 2019. The Mumbai Police Crime Branch charged Kaloke this time for possessing 20 grams of charas, imported liquor, and a forged voter identity card.
Wow.
And Baby was also added in this charge sheet. Now remember, 114 kilograms of potentially Mephedrone to come down to 20 grams of hash. That's what charas is. It's like the resin from the cannabis plant. From cannabis versus Mephedrone. Okay.
Oh my God.
And the thing about this is I found this very interesting because I've done a lot of I've read it quite a bit about how marijuana related products are really regulated in India. And the thing is, marijuana possession is not that well enforced in India.
Okay.
There are loads of reasons for this. Okay. It's likely a huge waste of time for the cops, first of all. There are cultural reasons, etc., but it is a huge waste of time for the cops to investigate something like marijuana possession because they'd rather be solving like murders and rapes, instead of cracking down on a bunch of college kids hotboxing themselves in their parents' house, listening to Arctic Monkeys. The worst thing that could happen in that situation with those kids, those college kids, is that they eat too much because they have the munchie, and then the next day they have a tummy ache. That is not a societal problem. It seems like a very specific problem for those kids in particular. So keeping that in mind, very often public crime, crimes in general are something that cause like a lot of harm to the public. And that's really why the police would investigate it. So for something that is barely ever that well enforced in this country, for whatever reason, and the fact that 20 grams of charas is not even a commercial quantity
right,
to qualify for some sort of an arrest under the act, the police still went ahead and added both baby and Kaloke in the charge sheet, just for the sake of finding something to catch them with. And the police also said that the articles in the cupboard clearly indicate that Kaloke was assisting baby in the drug trade because the forged voter identity card was actually a forgery of her husband, Ramesh Patankar's ID card. But the fact is, getting something like this to go to court with enough evidence to the point that it'll actually lead to a conviction seems very low, at least in my opinion. So it just sort of feels like they're grasping at straws at this point.
Yeah, that's the thing. Even the media made so much fun of how stupid this sounded, because there was an Indian Express headline from July 2019 which said, "Baby Patankar drug case, 114 kg of Mephedrone makes way for 20 grams of charas in charge sheet." Which is so sad. It's just reducing them to like, oh, congratulations.
Yeah. And you know what? That's really kind of where the story ends temporarily, because since then we haven't seen much. There hasn't been any movement in this case since. Like the pandemic set in a little after. So there hasn't been really much going on with this. But it is a story that we're really interested in like following up with, because she's so amazing. I mean, she's an interesting character,
This would make an excellent movie. Even if you're going to do it on just like the alleged things, right? It would make a good TV show, like 6 episodes, just drama. It's amazing. She's an amazing, I wouldn't say protagonist, but like she thinks so much. She's so intelligent. She's diversifying her income. She's like, it's amazing.
She's an anti-hero, bro. I mean, as I say it out loud, I realize that it's basically like Breaking Bad, but in Mumbai slums. But it has the potential to be, it's not like we haven't seen other crime shows based in India. Some of them are done so well because of the context in which they're created, right? So to sort of bring the idea of Mumbai slums to life and the desperation of like people that live in it without the lens of like, from that Slumdog Millionaire.
I was just thinking of that. Please take the white supremacy away. And then let's make
I want to bathe in the colonial hangover. I love it. But yes, this would be a movie would be great. A TV series would be infinitely better.
Yes.
I would watch the hell out of this.
Me too. So if anyone who's listening is like a movie director, producer, whatever you need to be, please make this happen.
That's right. Pretty please. And yeah, that's kind of it. We're at the end of this supremely long episode, I now realize. But we still have time for a musical recap. Nisha.
We'll make this one quick.
Yes, we'll make it quick. Go.
There was a time I used to rule over Mumbai, and from my throne made my money from the Mephedrone. Rows of houses and fleets of cars, golden cash, baby, I'm a superstar. Don't you cross me, you won't get far. I've got tons of blackmail on my radar. Nobody puts baby in a corner, in a corner. Nobody puts baby in a corner. Yeah.
Well, that was amazing.
Thanks, girl.
But nobody puts baby in a corner was that was beautiful.
Yeah, it was either that or Baby's Day Out. So I think this one is better.
Oh, can we have a backup song?
Okay.
Let's do it.
Some other time. I will make another song for you.
Let's do it. Yeah, Baby's Day Out should... Why was Baby's Day Out not the headline they led with when she was acquitted?
Oh, man, that's true. They really should have gone with that.
That would have been amazing. That's fine, whatever. I'm just disappointed for no reason. It's fine. But that brings us to the end of our episode. We hope you had a really good time listening to this. We had a phenomenal time researching for this. We are very tired also.
Yes.
Because learning about drugs and what they do is really not, it's a lot.
Fun. It's
a lot,
exhausting.
Man.
It is
it's really
exhausting. But you can find all of our sources, all of the information on our Substack, and you can follow us on Instagram. I am at Just Nishful Thinking, which is just.nishful.thinking.
And I am Ragi Dosai, as in Ragi, the thing that you make dosai with, dot dosai, which is dosai. Killed it.
Wow.
You'll find it in our description. There's really no point in us saying this out loud. That's it. Please follow us for ask us questions. Tell us more stuff if you know, if you ever encountered baby yourself, or if you know something about this case, please tell us, and we're very happy to talk about this. And of course, follow us on all the platforms that you like to listen to podcasts on. We're available every Wednesday.
And we'll see you again on the next episode of Misconduct.
See you guys.
We live in an age of disruption, of immense change in every aspect of work, life, and business. But is the old way of doing things truly dead? And are we ever going to stop saying the new normal? Join me, Varun Dugirala, on Advertising is Dead every Tuesday as I talk to entrepreneurs, leaders, creators, and change makers from across business, media, marketing, and beyond to dig a little deeper into how we got here, what we're doing now, and where we're headed. You can catch all the episodes of Advertising is Dead on the IVM Podcast website, app, or wherever you get your podcasts from.
Hi, I'm Zarina Poonawalla, host of the Empowering Series podcast on the IVM network. I happen to be a peak performance coach and leadership coach by profession, and I'm here to share with you productivity tools, life-altering techniques, and real-life hacks to help you achieve your maximum potential in everything you do, your relationships, professions, careers. So tune in every Monday to unleash your inner power. Be safe, be well, be empowered.